What's up, guys and gals? I'm your host Mike Pugh of the FBC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning in to a Blender 2.80 Alpha 2 series video. And I'm going to basically be starting to cover Blender. I haven't done any Blender videos since I started on YouTube because I wasn't professed in Blender. I wasn't knowledgeable. I'm more of a newbie to Blender. So I'm just getting started. If y'all folks want to tune in to my learning process and also the things that I've figured out and puzzled together, definitely check out this series and let's get it. So I'm going to help y'all folks who are starting with Blender 2.8 to find out where to get the user preferences, but also to create a really cool shortcut trick of how to get there without getting stressed every single time because it's located or relocated somewhere else, opposed to where it previously was on the old Blender versions. So this is Blender 2.8, like I said. The old versions of Blender, if you want to get to the user preferences, you go to File, and then you look over here and you'll see that it's an option here to click. But this particular version of Blender, they moved it. So you're gonna go over here where it says shading, click the drop menu, and then click the gear icon to get to it. So that's a lot of operations, a lot of functions to do in order to get to it, right? So say you wanted to bypass that and you wanted it to just show up as soon as you started. So that way it's very easy for you to get to. You know where it is. You don't have to worry about having to go to that particular gear icon every single time. The best way to do it, whether you want to hide it, auto hide it, or you want it to come up, is this way. So what you want to do, if you don't want to hide it in the background, every time you bring it up, you bring up Blender 2.8, and you're starting from scratch with a new project or a previous project. Say you wanted it to show up on the screen like this. You're going to go to File, and it auto hides it, but keep in mind it's going to show up this way if you don't hide it. So let's go to File and go to Save Startup File. So whatever you have your Blender set up as, it's going to show up that way. Make sure you set everything up the way you want it to be set before you click Save Startup File. So we're going to click Save Startup File, and now I'm going to exit out and show y'all folks it's going to come up automatically. So we restarted it, and now you can see the user preferences comes up automatically. See that? So now you would have to hide it. So say you wanted to hide it. Alright, say you wanted it to come up as a hidden option that shows up down here on your Windows computer. Maybe it's your Mac computer. I'm not sure which version of Blender you're using for what operating system. So pretty much to do that, all you got to do now is save it in this way. So you go Save Startup File and save it again. What I recommend for you to do also is to get rid of that cube that starts out with Blender, so that way you don't have to keep deleting it every single time. So that's what I recommend. You also want to have your 3D cursor in the very center, 0, 0, 0, which is the 0 XYZ axis. So you want your 3D cursor to be in a 0, and you also want to have your camera focused on directing through this green axis. The green axis basically is the y-axis, I believe. So if you look over here, you can see the Z is the blue, the X is the red, the Y is the green axis. There you go. So you want your camera focused this way. You want your camera to have an angle aimed up. See this little arrow, this black arrow? You want it to aim up. It's probably a white arrow or a black arrow. That means that's the top of the camera, and you want it to be horizontal as opposed to landscape mode, or I should say as opposed to portrait mode. It's in landscape mode now. So these are the kind of things that are really good to set up, so that way every single time you bring your Blender projects in, or a brand new project, you already have it set to do some basic things like rendering really easy, and you want to have your lamp somewhat positioned in the front of the character or object, 3D object. So that's some basic tips for y'all folks. I just wanted to add those as well because this is a very short video. That's all you have to do, and then you go to File, like I said, as a review, and Save Startup File, and you'll see that your user preferences will be in the lower right corner of your tab for Blender 2.8 or 2.8 Alpha 2. So let's exit out, and I'll show you. Actually, let's save it just in case that I didn't save it. I'm not sure. Exit out, and then I'll show you that it comes up as a hidden tab. So you see down here, you're gonna have to click your tab. Now if you don't have these tabs down at the bottom, and say your Blender project is in a folder somewhere, what you want to do is go to that folder and right click and then pin it to your desktop or pin it to your taskbar. So that's what I did with these. These are older versions of Blender. I'll show y'all folks in another video how to get older versions of Blender on your computer along with the newer versions of Blender, so you can have multiple Blender versions running at the same time. So let's click it, let's bring it up, and there we go. So now it's hidden, like I said, in that tab. Let me show y'all the quick way to get to that tab. So say your Blender project was in your downloads. So mine is in my downloads subfolder, and then within a Blender download that I put in from the website, from blender.org. So you're gonna scroll down, get to the Blender icon. You see all these DLL or DLL files or whatever, DIL files. Don't worry about those. Just get to the Blender icon. Then you're gonna right click and then go to, where is it at? Pin to. You can pin to taskbar. Mine's is already pinned to the taskbar. So yeah, it says right here, unpin from taskbar. So if I unpin it, now you see I'm only gonna have 2. Let me exit out real quick, and you'll see now it's only 2 that's showing here. This is Blender 2.79b, and this other version of Blender is 2.792. So like I said, I have 3 active versions of Blender running at the same time. If you get a brand new version of 2.8 alpha or whatever level it is, beta, I don't know what level it will be at that time, then it's really important to go back to the Blender website, blender.org, and then load it up, get a new download. I would recommend for you to get the download every single week. Get a new download every week, because they're always updating it until it's full release, and then it's obviously going to still be updated. You're going to go right click, like I said, and then pin to taskbar, and bam, it's going to show up here, but it's actually going to be to the far right. So you can swipe it to the other ones wherever you have the other ones at. If they're at the far right, just leave it there. But if they somewhere in the middle, just slide it back. And then when you pull it up, here we go. Now you got it. And then you're going to hover over it, and you'll see your user preferences come up automatically. See, it's very simple. So hopefully that helps you as a tip. This is my very first Blender video. This is the kind of stuff that I was really good at before I got into Blender, which is how to arrange things on my desktop, on my PC. So now that I got onto Blender, I'm trying to do things that I already know that could help people to make things move faster, because knowing Blender requires you to also know how to manage files, how to move things around, and that's really a faster way to make it work. Hopefully y'all like that video. Joy, love, and peace to all. Mike Pugh signing off. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. If you like the video, feel free to subscribe to my channel if y'all folks want to get more, and definitely feel free to hit the bell icon to get my latest videos on Blender or whatever other 3D stuff that I'm covering. I'm just starting out as a 3D artist. I'm not that great at it, but I'm trying to get better. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.